Welcome to WYCD Wicked, that stands for What You Can Do. It's your old pal Jake, and we're looking at the political environment in the post political apocalypse of America. Bad news, but y'all know it already, so we'll skip it. Good news. We don't have to pretend like Democrats are worth a damn anymore. Tinkerbell, good to see you. She happened to pass along a letter from Bernie Sanders to the American people, which includes your old pal Jake. Hey, AC, good to see you as well. I think Bernie is feeling the same way we're feeling, which is to say that the Democrats have outlived their usefulness if they ever had it. They've outlived their hypothetical usefulness, even. Let's listen to some truth as laid out by Mr. Bernie Sanders, Senator from Vermont. Burlington, Vermont. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, today released the following statement in response to the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents, and many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee health care to all as a human right, and we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We alone among major countries cannot even guarantee paid family and medical leave. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu government's all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of mass malnutrition and the starvation of thousands of children. Will the big money interests and well paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious political discussions. Stay tuned. He's not wrong. He is not wrong. The folks like me who consider themselves serious progressives, and yet were advocating support for the Democratic Party, did so on the belief that it was the best chance of stopping Republicans from getting into power. And yet, for the first time in 20 years, a Republican won the popular vote. I saw analysis of worldwide elections where it shows favorably to Democrats that all parties in power suffered. I don't care because the Republican Party is a blatantly evil organization with a rapist who was just elected president, a traitor to the country who was just elected to lead it. There is no excuse to be had. If they could not win with these conditions, then the argument that they are somehow helping us prevent a Republican takeover no longer works. And it's an argument, to be fair, to those who may wish to criticize me. You'd be correct. It's an argument I've been making. No longer. No longer. I think Kamala Harris did about as well as she could have done in terms of running that campaign as a Democrat. The problem is people are sick of Democrats, and rightly so. They're sick of Democrats. Frankly, they're sick of old-fashioned Republicans as well. And those people that aren't sick of MAGA are delusional about it, but they at least exist. Nobody's delusional about getting real change out of the Democrats or Republicans. Even the diehard Dems don't dare suggest that the party's actually going to help with anything. They just talk about how it will preserve. In other words, a conservative party. Yeah, Pinkerbell putting it well. She executed the strategy well. It's the strategy that was amiss. Yeah, that's it exactly. Snicks would be a touchdown Tennessee. Yeah, I just watched Michigan lose to Indiana in football as well. It's been a very painful couple of weeks. Donald James X, no matter what happens, our values, at least mine, will never change. Even if I'm in the minority, will never change. Well, the good news, man, is we're going to have to compromise much less with our values. I note that Bernie seems to be thinking what I was thinking immediately following the election, and what I think is not a unique thought for progressives to have at this particular juncture, which is the Democratic Party is not fulfilling the one function that progressives backed for. So if it doesn't fulfill that function, why waste our time? Why put up with all the nonsense? Why let them undercut us as they do in every election? Why do we give our energy and what little money we've been able to scrape together to these punks? To me, the answer is we shouldn't. We should not. We have, no matter what, another enemy to take down, though. And that is toxic information environments. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Toxic information environments are what cause people to think that MAGA is going to do anything for them. Toxic information environments are what lead some thick young men to think that Andrew Tate has decent dating advice. He doesn't. But here's the thing. Toxic information environments are also what lead you to think your candidate can't lose. You might be in a toxic information environment and have totally correct information. The information you're getting might actually be entirely correct. What makes it toxic is whether or not you personally consider it to be fallible, whether you personally are willing to be critical of that information that you have. We've been calling them bubbles, but I don't think that's an accurate enough description because it leaves out the fact, I think, that you could have correct information and still be in an environment where the means at which you're getting your information is dangerous. We should start addressing these folks. It's not something I look forward to doing personally. I don't like people outside of our political group, truth be told. I just don't vibe with it. Doesn't matter. It's going to be necessary for us to walk in the footsteps of the evangelicals and learn how to talk to other people and advocate against toxic information environments. Burst some bubbles and make sure people understand that it's not about whether or not your information is correct. Although most likely, if you've stayed in such an environment online for a long time, you don't have correct information. It's about how you assess information. That will be necessary for us coming up. One more thing, gang. If Bernie's starting a new party, he's perfectly set up to be the figurehead of it, not to run for president. And I don't think he would. But he's independent. He's already known to not be a Republican or a Democrat. He has a reputation and he is beloved. It'll tell people a lot about what the party's about if Bernie's the one that starts it. Also, he can keep a seat of power. If he's not running for president, he can stay as a senator for another 4 years, hopefully. Yeah, AC, he is a legit independent. Oh, good point. Donald James X. Popularity goes a long way in this country. The left needs more popular figures, like Hassan. Absolutely. So, Bernie set up very well to be the leader of a new party. Let's hope he does that. And let's start setting up already for small town races. What I would like y'all to do is consider volunteering your time as a semi-pro. If you've made phone calls this past election season, you know how easily it can be done. You have a web browser open, you click on a phone number or a contact information. You really just click a button that says next call. It connects you automatically, and through your computer, you have a phone call with somebody. And you say, this is why you should vote for X, Y, and Z. We can do that at a local level. We can do that for mayor races. And there's nothing stopping a group of 10 or 15 of us from getting together on the weekends and making phone calls to affect a mayoral race in Idaho. Consider whether you want to make yourself available to do that. Step one. And when we get together a group of people that are happy to make this a regular thing on the weekends, we will start doing that. And we'll start reaching out to mayoral races or city clerk or whatever the hell. Point being, we're going to start working on the party from the other end, whatever this party winds up being. Let's hope that Bernie Sanders is starting a big independent new party, and he's building it from the top down. We're going to build it from the bottom up. The wicked community. If you think Bernie Sanders starting a new party is the way to go, First of all, I agree. Second of all, let him know. Contact Bernie Sanders. I'll put his link in the description. But in the meantime, y'all, Google it, contact Bernie Sanders, and say, we're here with you. We feel the burn. We want you to gift this country a third, better party. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and this is Donald James X. This is his outro song.